Welcome to the I Am One podcast. On today's episode, we're sitting down for an I Am One podcast first. It's our first ever trans-continental conversation recorded in Poland and the United States with Karolina Lazarov, who is, yep, you guessed it, a Polish-born perinatal mental health certified therapist now living in the United States who is connecting the dots between parents, providers, and resources on more than one continent. Pretty incredible. As if the title didn't give it away, we will in fact chat all about how medical gaslighting impacted Karolina's childbirth experience, how she found support, and how she's finding ways to connect folks here and abroad to the vital resources that they need. So without any further ado, please sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode with our friend Karolina. Karolina, welcome to the podcast studio. We are absolutely thrilled to be sitting here with you today, and the stars have aligned because we've managed to schedule this recording in the summer while all the kids are home out of school. We are on different continents. We are in different time zones. Look at us. I mean, that in itself is quite the feat. But we're not here to talk about logistics. We're here to talk about you. So thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very, very thrilled to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. How many hours ahead of us are you? We're
just 6.
Oh, just like a quick little 6 hours.
No, it's not dark yet.
I bet people are wondering where you are, but we'll get to that.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. Can you give us a little introduction to who you are?
Sure. So my name is Karolina Lazarov. I am a licensed professional counselor, licensed behavior specialist, and a certified perinatal mental health specialist through PSI.
Yay!
I am also a volunteer coordinator for PSI in my home country, Poland.
Yay!
This is where I come from. Yes, Mr. Revealed. So, I came to this country when I was around 26. And then I can tell you about my journey. So it was just, I came for a moment and then here we are. It was 2008.
Were you coming here for school or what was?
Yes. So see, this is part of how I discovered PSI. Yes, I came here to get more experience in the whole perinatal mental health, maternal mental health psychology, because, back in the day, there was not much about that. But then, I can tell you more about it later. But yes, my heart is still in Poland, my friends, my therapist friends, and, being a coordinator just opened, wider range of opportunities and possibilities for me. So I'm really honored to represent PSI on a global level. But, so I live in Philly now, suburbs of Philly.
Ooh.
Yes, in the mainline area, in a beautiful little town, Bryn Mawr. That's where my practice is. That reminds me of home, it's like a small little kind of feel over there. So it's really cozy. If you ever visit, just come to Bryn Mawr. It's cute. I live with my husband, with my 2 little boys. So one is almost 2 and one is 10.
Oh, wow.
Why? You probably wonder, there's 8-year difference. That's my story. That's why I'm here,
Yeah, tell us.
Birth trauma needs time to heal. And it took me 8 years. But I'll tell you a super funny story about that 8 years. So and when everyone was asking me what do I want for my birthday, it was my rounded big birthday, not to reveal my age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't need to talk about it. It's okay.
It was now or never, nobody knows.
Yeah.
But I said, this is now or never. And when everyone asked me, what would you want for that big birthday? I said, well, baby, because I've been waiting for so long. I had to overcome so much. So I want the baby. And guess when my baby was born?
On your birthday?
On my birthday. He waited till 1 a.m. to be born on my birthday. So I don't have birthday anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Is this baby number 2?
Yes. So that's my second son. So
okay.
Yes, I have a birth trauma story and I have such a good story. So,
Oh.
I'm an example of past doesn't define the future. I'm an example of only because it happened once doesn't mean it's going to happen again. So
yes.
Yeah, that's my little introduction to my life.
Excellent. Okay. So birth trauma is part of your story. Let's go back to 2008 when you were looking for more information.
Yeah.
So what brought you here to the US? Were you I'm going to grad school? I'm going to a training? What did that look like?
Sure. So I actually graduated in psychology back in Poland. So I graduated one of the top universities, and my dissertation thesis person, my head and my mentor, my greatest person was really brilliant woman that specialized and still specializes. She's like a professor nowadays in maternal mental health. So it was my very first beginning when I actually got introduced to the idea of PMADs when no one was talking about it. It was one of the universities actually in Poland when talked about it, and there were classes about it. And I had the privilege to actually get involved in a research project. So I created my thesis based on prenatal attachment. It was lovely. For 2 years, I actually worked with pregnant women in third trimester of their pregnancy, trying to see if their temperamental differences are going to be a prediction of their attachment style postpartum.
Ooh, that's nerdy, and I'm really into
Yes,
it.
it was so nerdy. I love that.
What did you learn?
Oh my gosh, I learned so much, then the thesis, not to brag about it.
Go ahead. This is your episode.
Yeah, this is my moment to shine.
Yeah.
Yes, it was great because it was the beginning of this whole thing. The Edinburgh scale was still like, maybe used here and there. They were looking at me like I'm just like a different animal in a zoo. Because when I came to this hospital, luckily that was a hospital that my mother was the head of the neonatology ward because she's a pediatrician herself. So I had this little entryway. So they were kind of looking at me weird, like, what are you talking about? What the postpartum? What are you talking about? So it was a lot of questioning, a lot of weird looks. But guess what? I was still doing it. Those moms were also like, what are you asking me if I'm sad? Well, everyone is sad.
Right.
Like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, I'm crying. Everyone is crying. So, they had no idea. So anyways, when I graduated in Poland, there was like no talks about perinatal mental health. The OBGYNs were just like, just take some pills or just go and cry. I don't know. Very, very dismissed subject. And we done in 2008. So, almost 4 years ago. Right.
Right.
So I decided to come here to Philly. Why Philly? My sister was here, so it was pretty easy. It wasn't like I picked Philly for no reason. So it was an easy entryway, and I took classes to be able to practice here in the US, obviously. So I went through quite a hiccup of learning who, Freud was after all my journey in Poland. But that's okay. I refreshed my knowledge, like it was good. And then I found PSI, and then, I really was like first reading about it and, getting all information. And then when the certification came to place, I decided to pursue that route. And then, a few months ago, I decided to be the coordinator after actually I created my website, my Polish website with all the educational stuff about PMAD. And then I started getting, emails for women asking for those therapists. And I recognized that in Poland, we are still in 2008. Okay, maybe 2010, not much has changed. So I figured out that will be my chance to actually, spread that awareness and do something with the PSI logo, that supports me. So yeah, so that's how I ended up here. That's why I'm here. But as I said, my heart is still in my home country, and I would love to create something much bigger on this global level, which I'm cooperating with them constantly. What can I do? Do you have more materials? What can I translate to my language? Because there's no translation for Polish. So yeah, so that's my little future goal. We'll get to it hopefully one day.
We'll check back later on that.
Yeah, of course.
But let's go back in time a little bit. Can you tell us, you alluded to having some birth trauma. So if you're up for it, can you tell us the role that perinatal mental health complications disorders played in your life personally? We know professionally, like how you got involved, but tell us more.
So, I'm not that angry anymore, but anger was part of that journey. But when I talk about it, all these emotions are still coming up, because even though I passed my birth trauma, when you tell the story, you still feel it like, oh,
yes,
I was one of these women.
I have a quick question before we dive in.
Yeah.
When these feelings come up, when you're retelling the story, for me, it feels a little bit like I can see that there's a roller coaster. Yeah. But I don't feel like I'm on it anymore.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
It's almost like you're looking at that story from a distance, right? Like that third person perspective, as we say in therapy, right? Like you're not sitting, you're just observing your story, and you tell people the story that it's part of you, but yes, you're not in it, right? So there's this detachment of like, there's no emotional outlook on what happened. It's just like a raw.
Like you're not reliving the feelings with the same level of intensity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's dive into it. So, when I was giving birth to my son, it was
first or second?
First, 10 years ago.
Okay.
So we're talking 10 years ago, which I still feel like we made progress there, but here and there. right? So
2015 was pre-perinatal mental health certification. It was,
yes,
yeah.
yes. And and at that time, my English wasn't that good. My verbal skills were not that good. And I clearly was not as loud as I am now. If that happened yesterday, I think that my story would have been so different. But 10 years ago, things were so different. And I was different, right? And it was the first baby too. So you kind of were like, what's normal? What's not normal, right?
Yeah.
So what happened basically, I had this little complicated labor, not because of myself, but because of the timing. They were really prolonging my labor. So, there was a nurse's shift change. There was a doctor's shift change. And they were just like dragging it.
Had you been induced?
No. It was a natural, but they also sent me home 3 times telling me not yet, not yet, not yet. Wow. And, again, remember I mentioned my mother, right? Neonatologist sitting by my side saying, this is not how it's supposed to be. Tell them this, tell them that, No, nobody listened. So eventually, at some point, I was like, I am not leaving. So now I'll be sitting here. I am not going home for the 4th time. I'm staying here. Mm-hmm. So they let me stay, but I didn't know that they're going to let me stay, prolonging this still even more. So that was one of their things,
Not being listened to.
Yeah. The other thing was the epidural. So, there was a lot of, stuff with that, They didn't fix what they messed up. They were just keeping me in my little happy zone. So I wouldn't complain and I would be just happy, right? And I would be...
Did the epidural not take?
It did take, but on one side of my body, and the other side felt weird. And I was telling them it doesn't feel right. Something is off. I was hot. I was just numb in a weird way. And they were just giving me more, other stuff to make me happy. That's what I'm saying. So I remember being in a goofy mode, like kind of like, oh my gosh, this is great. I'm here, so not really, attachment with reality and stuff. So anyways.
That one that makes you loopy, right? So in addition to the epidural, you were getting, God, what is that? I don't even remember.
No. Yes. So they were giving me that, basically the happy drug, right? To just, to make you just not be really aware, which now I understand because, 10 years later, 8, because my son is almost 2, another anesthesiologist explained to me everything in details because he actually wanted to tell me what's going on. So he actually told me what they're giving and what dosing and how, just to calm my nerves. But that's 8 years later. But at that time, you were just pumping me with drugs rather than take that epidural and kind of fix it when I was telling them something doesn't feel right. I was just not heard at all.
Got it.
I had no voice, which still happens a lot. And, I finally gave birth to my son and everything is great. And then they tell me, okay, get up and sit on this wheelchair. And here is where everything started. So they didn't know that I couldn't walk, that I was partially paralyzed. And I collapsed on the wheelchair. So I got injured. They couldn't pick me up. It was 3 people, my mom, my husband, and that nurse that told me just sit down. And and that's when they were like, uh-oh. Something actually did go wrong. And I'll tell you, so they check MRI. There was no hemorrhage or anything. Nobody actually knew what happened. Nobody could have explained. But I'll tell you a funny story. The anesthesiologist who did it came to my room and said, just so you know, I didn't do anything wrong. And you signed the paper so you knew the risk. And that's my story of medical gaslighting. That's why I said this is medical gaslighting. That is my story. It's not just the birth story. It's just the medical manipulation, emotional manipulation.
Like he basically yelled at you for doing what the nurse told you to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Like this is not on me. Just so, you want to be tricky, you sign the paper. So, that was the beginning of like, wait, what? Like, why would you even come and say that? Instead of saying, hey, how are you feeling? What's going on? Let me see. The first sentence I heard.
I just want to let you know that none of this is my fault. And you signed something to say that you're not going to tell me that it's my fault.
Yeah, right? And now actually you gave me the idea of check if it was your fault. Because now I'm like,
why would you otherwise be saying that to me? It's very odd.
Right? Yes. So that was the beginning, And then, the treatment that I received, post-delivery with not being able to get up, not being able to take that shower when they tell you, go take a shower, start walking. No, I was there for 6 days. I think it was around 6 days.
Because of the fall.
I couldn't walk. I couldn't get up. My leg, my hand and stuff, but my leg would not stay straight. It would buckle.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't lift myself up. So my husband, for like a month, he was lifting me up from a couch, So, there was a sequence of different events that I think exacerbated that birth trauma and basically being medically gaslighted, because I had nurses that came and said, like, just come in, stand up, just try to do it. And then I would fall. So I was like, oh my God, like, what's wrong with me? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say, can you help me with like the bathroom stuff? And she's like, well, can't you do it yourself? And I was like, well, I can't, And the first most important one was when the nurse came in. I'm stressed out. I'm crying. I don't know what's going on. I'm wondering if I'm ever going to be walking. My husband, who I think had actually, now when I'm looking back, I think he struggled with his mental health.
For sure.
It wasn't really me. It was him. Pacing, biting nails and all that stuff. So if I could diagnose him today, I think I would have, not back then, but nowadays. So anyway, he was so stressed out that he was sitting on that little chair next to me, just sleeping. And we were talking middle of the night. And I said, can you please, I'm begging you, take the baby for 2 hours just so I can put my, eyes down like he's sleeping. And she said, why is he here? I was like, excuse me? Well, why is he here if he's not helping? And he may as well sleep at home. And I look at her. And again, today I would have said something. But back then I was like, please, pretty, please, And she was just, oh, fine. But I will bring him for next feeding. And I was like, what feeding? What do you mean, what feeding? I didn't have any supply. Oh, guess what? I've never had a supply because of all the stress, But at that time, like, nothing was coming. And it's like, I'll bring him for feeding. So, like, the nurses were mean. The doctors were mean. Nobody checked on me. Nobody really was actually wanting to help me. And, I left this hospital on a wheelchair with the cane that they said, well, we'll give you this cane, but you need to pay. So it was, I'm telling you, now I'm laughing about it because it's so outrageous and absurd that, right? Like, you wouldn't believe it. If someone told you the story, you'd be like, wait, what?
Yeah, wow.
And then that was it. That was it. And then I was, left by myself. Nobody checked with me. Nobody said anything. Nobody just, care. And actually, no, they said, if nothing changes, come back in 6 months. I literally heard
6
that.
months?
Yeah. They sent neurologists to assess me. And he's like, yeah, definitely, that leg is not as strong. Like, you cannot bend that knee. And I was like, yeah, I know.
Right?
That's
what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for telling me. And he said, like, well, just observe it, monitor it, just work on it. PT maybe, but not yet because you are postpartum, so you cannot do PT, right? Come back in 6 months.
So was the partial like paralysis or like weakness, like unable to stand up, and what you said it was hard for you to fully extend your arm, was that like a combination of like there's like a complication from the epidural and also the fall? Or, I mean, I don't know.
That's why I'm saying it took me 8 years, because for 8 years I was looking for answers. And I was so afraid to actually get pregnant and get that epidural again, because I'm thinking, well, if that happened once, what if I'm like allergic to something?
Like maybe.
Especially because they weren't able to tell you the root cause. Like,
Nope. And nobody said, you're going to be fine next time,
Right.
And I knew, and I actually had, I had all of the side effects of like labor. So I was really not happy not having epidural, next time, because I don't know if I'll be able to do it. So I really wanted to do and have that epidural. And, nobody was able to tell me like, no, you're going to be able to walk. Like, I was really, really afraid that I wouldn't be able to walk after my second. Now, here's the funny thing. If I knew what I know now, then I probably wouldn't have waited 8 years. And it took one person, kind, empathetic, supportive doctor, that anesthesiologist that I saw when I had my second son, to actually make me feel that he got this. He said, listen, there is no way. He took a banana and he started peeling banana to show me where epidural goes. He's like, see that skin? See that inner part? We're not going to your spine. I don't know what they messed up, but this is what I'm going to do. And this guy, he was so amazing and so patient with me that I sat down and I was like, okay, I trust you. And my mom, who was sitting there and observing first doctor and the second doctor, 8 years later, she was like, you know what? I trusted him too. Whereas with the first one, she was like, ugh.
Like it was just, it was a fast food restaurant. Get in, get out,
yes.
Get the people.
Yep. That actually, that is funny, because actually this is how it felt. Whereas the second one was like the luxury, little restaurant in Italy.
This second doctor or anesthesiologist was obviously recognizing that you had anxiety about the possibility of getting another epidural and being sensitive to that and just going, okay, can I tell you about it?
Yes. And I did tell him, and I felt heard. For the first time, I felt actually heard, and that's something that I always tell my clients. Use your voice. You need to be heard. Because you know what? If you're not going to find a doctor that's going to hear you, find another doctor.
Yeah.
Now I know. Because I found different practice. I went to a different hospital.
Same.
Right? See? And that made such a difference,
I was a doula for a couple of years and had to go back to the hospital where I delivered my first. And I got sweaty. And I was like, it's not safe here. Like, I mean, because trauma is real. Like,
absolutely. That's why I was like, I am not doing this again over there.
Yep.
So now I know what happened. To answer your question, they prolonged that labor and they kept me on those drugs too long. And then because I was pushing for like 45 minutes, I think because of that epidural on one side not being put correctly and the pressure I was putting during labor put so much tension on my lower part of my body that it was due to like a muscle, it's kind of like what I say when people run and your legs are shaking. I think that's what happened, and nobody was holding me. So if maybe that nurse was holding me and be like, okay, let's sit down together. Not like, okay, get up and sit, like, that's okay. You just were in labor for 12 hours.
They were just kind of like telling you what to do next and just doing things without kind of like talking you through it. I'm just thinking about the second anesthesiologist who was very sensitive to how you were feeling and, what your first experience was, and was like, okay, we could do this differently.
Yes. And, he heard me and he also gave me such a low dose that I still felt the pain. So I knew, and I was moving my legs constantly. Just
making sure.
Yeah.
Did you ask, can I have like a little baby dose?
Yep. That's what I said.
And he said, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Because first I asked to not give me drugs at all, just epidural. And he also explained why you cannot do that, why you have to do it. But he also said, I'm going to give you such a low dose just to make it smooth, going into that canal. So you're not going to really have it. You will, but you won't. And he was like, are you feeling okay? And actually, one more thing. He came in like twice just to check on me. Oh. So he wasn't just like, bye.
Well, my job here is done.
Yes, he came and checked. And, it really takes one person. So that was my person. I actually am a proof that, yes, one story happened, but the other reversed it. It took me 8 years, but I can tell that, you can have two different experiences with two different outcomes. And two beautiful boys with it,
Yeah. Okay, so the second birth experience was very different. Did it help you with any healing that you hadn't already done?
Absolutely. It was closure.
Yeah.
It was closure to finally have an answer that I wasn't a failure, nor my body.
It wasn't you.
It wasn't me. They made me feel through all the 6 days in the hospital and then, going from doctor to doctor asking for help. They made me feel it's something wrong with me, right? So I felt like a failure, right? And the anxiety that I experienced also just kind of diminished. Like it was gone. Like during that second labor, actually, when I was talking to that second anesthesiologist, it was just gone. It was like, oh my God, this is good. I feel good. I want to do this, So yes, it gave me closure and it helped me understand that, yes, medical gaslighting is real and they can really mess with your psyche. They can mess with you, making you believe like they're just fine. And this is you. There's something wrong with you. Not to mention, I didn't have a milk supply. And they also made me believe through this process of like, stop stressing like that because you're not going to have a milk supply. And then they would forcefully put that baby. Yes.
Oh, well, if you're telling me to not stress out, then I guess I just won't stress out. Insert sarcasm here. Rude.
Good grief.
But you know what? I'll tell you a very interesting thing. I didn't have a milk supply with my second baby and I wasn't stressed at all. So guess what? It's just my body. It's fine. I came in acceptance, but first time I wasn't in acceptance, right? I was like, oh my God, it's because of stress. I need to calm down. I need to relax. I need to breastfeed.
They're telling you that you're not doing something right. And that's why, again, all on you.
It's all on me. So it was basically all on me back then.
Allegedly.
But, hear about perinatal mental health. We have a big spectrum, right? So you would think that my story is like a story of like a recipe to postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression, right? You cannot walk. Your knee buckles. You cannot even walk with your baby and like cradling. You cannot go for walks with your baby because you cannot hold a stroller. You can sit, but then someone needs to come and take your baby from you. Someone needs to lift you up. Someone needs to help you, in the shower, in the toilet, and all those things.
And cook your food and bring it to you and make sure that you're staying hydrated. And
Yep.
How long did that recovery take?
Like 3 months was when I was really struggling with like this whole thing.
1 month postpartum?
Yes, 1 month postpartum. My husband is an athlete, so he kind of was able to train me how to do things with that leg. So he would move my leg. He would just, we would just get up and down. My mom took 3 months off to stay with me.
Wow. Shout out to mom. Thanks, mom.
I know. And that's actually what I want to tell you about anxiety disorders postpartum. Like I feel that support that I got protected me from actually going that route, She was there with me. He was there with me from physical aspect, like training me, get up and do, and he would go for walks. We would go to Target with my little Kim at nighttime, We would work on it hard, Target nighttime, dates. But my mom was helping me. Funny, right? Oh, we did have the date, me with the kid.
Hot date at Target.
I mean, that sounds fun.
Very romantic. We still do it. I'm kidding. Like, let's go to Target, honey.
Just for old times, Remember?
Oh,
let's get that babysitter. Really, like that support system, that village that we're talking about, right? Like it takes a village. Like I really, really had that village. And it really took one person. And, my mom's being a doctor herself, and doctor, not a doctor, just a neonatologist, that doctor, taking care of my kiddo, helping me out and telling me you're okay. And also, I find myself really privileged because I had a village of other doctors from my home country that would call me for telehealth.
Oh.
Yes. And would help me with understanding, with validation, and with that, that support that I'm going to be okay.
I have a language nerd question. Did it feel good to be able to just process in Polish?
Yes.
As opposed to trying to find a therapist in the US and then, not being able to say the first thing that you're thinking?
Absolutely. And especially back then, when I still had that language barrier and stuff, absolutely.
So you could just say, here's what's happening, here's what I'm feeling. And it's just...
Yep. And I'll tell you, I did have a therapist, but I didn't have to search for it. So that's part of my village. So my sister is a therapist herself.
Oh.
And she was there with me. So she was, I know it's a family and you would say crossing boundaries and all that stuff, but that wasn't the thing. She was sitting with me and telling me, you're a therapist yourself. You know how that works. When you think this way, this is what's going to happen. So how can we reframe it? How can I help you? What do you need? And I was bombarded with kindness, with support, with validation, and with also understanding, something that I didn't receive from these doctors over there in that hospital. In my practice, my OBGYN was late to my 6 weeks appointment, 2 hours late.
What?
Yes. And she came telling me why she's late. Then she didn't even really check me. She said, you're okay. You're feeling okay, right? Can you walk? And at that time, I was still with my little cane, and even her. And that was the last appointment I actually went to that practice because I felt, again, dismissed, unvalidated, unsupported, and invisible. So I left. And I said, thank you. Bye.
Thank you. I'll call you. Don't call me.
Yeah, no, don't call me. This is a breakup. This is a true breakup.
And for anybody listening that maybe is pregnant or will carry another baby later on, if you experience this, it's okay to, choose another doctor or, see somebody else if it's just not working and doesn't feel right. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. So you know what? And it's funny because then I say, I'm prone to medical gaslighting because with my second baby, as much as everything was great, there was, in practice, you see those different doctors, right? And because of my milestone age that we're not going to tell anyone about.
Were you geriatric?
Yes.
Sorry to bring it up.
I feel so geriatric, now. I sweat like a geriatric, patient and all. I'm there. But anyway, so you know what? I had to be induced, right? So you know how that goes with that geriatric pregnancy. I had to be induced, which I was not opposed because I was like, okay, the other one was unplanned. This one's going to be scheduled and planned. And that doctor is coming. And it was the day before I actually delivered. So she's coming to the office and she's like, so we have your date. And it was 2 weeks. 2 weeks after my due date. And I was supposed to be induced a week before my due date, just in case, right?
Oh.
We have this, we reserved the room. And I was like, wait, what?
Hang on a second. I thought we were just about done here. I'm ready to wrap it up.
Yeah. That was was supposed to be my last appointment. And you know what she said? No, you got it wrong, honey. And I was like, first, I'm not your honey. And second, I didn't get that wrong. I know when my due date was supposed to be. And she's like, no. She's like, no, look, we have it all here. She came with the paper. And I look at her and I was like shaking. My blood pressure is high up. She's letting me go home. That night, I ended up in the hospital because my baby's not moving, you know?
Oh.
I was 38 weeks. The baby's not moving. They let me go home. The doctor is like, well, we got the, movements we wanted, da-da-da. The next morning, I'm going to my non-stress test. And they are like, yeah, no, you're going to go and be induced right now. And I was like, wait, what?
But the day before, your doctor said, we're going to wait a couple more weeks.
And whoever is listening, I'll tell you how I found my voice. She came after my delivery. She had rounds in the hospital, so she had to come to my office.
Interesting.
She came to my room and she's like, Karolina, what happened? And I said, you happened. And I literally said, you happened. And she's like, what? And I was like, you stressed me out. Look at this. And she's like, what do you mean? Everything was great on our appointment. I was like, no, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
And I actually said my piece.
Whoa.
And she was like, so it was meant to be. And I was like, right?
Uh-huh.
And she laughed. And she left, not wanting to check me. She called the nurse and all that stuff. But I felt empowered. I really felt empowered that I was able to say no, you happened. You happened. You again medically gaslighted me, making me believe that I'm crazy when I knew that I wasn't. And this time, 8 years later, I knew I wasn't. And I wasn't, playing that little game. And that was also you asking how that second experience changed me. That was also my closure because I actually experienced again that someone told me something different. And I was able to say nah, this is all you, lady, not me.
Mm-hmm.
And I found my voice.
Wow.
Yeah, what a story. But you know what? That helped me really. That anger, that frustration, I turned it into motivation. So you really can take your anger and turn it into something good. And I did. Motivation to recover, motivation to work with women. That actually strengthened my, desire to work with women. And that's what I'm all about. Helping them to find their voice, because they come so fragile. They come so I don't know, should I ask or can I say this? Yeah. So I'm really embracing our female voice. We have to find that voice because I feel we really can be manipulated, gaslighted, and just, I don't know, people can make us feel like it's us.
Especially with the first delivery. I mean, I just didn't know. I thought I had to listen to what the doctors were telling me. And I didn't know. I didn't know yet. I didn't have enough lived experience to go, I don't know about this. Because it was my first time.
Right.
It was my entree into the parenting world and everything was new to me.
Yes.
It's a little bit like the first time you go to a restaurant. Stay with me on this. This is going to work.
Okay. Everybody buckle up.
When you go to a restaurant that's very specialized or one of those fondue places where you have to cook all your own food, right? And they have to explain to you the process. Or if you've never been to a tapas restaurant and you don't know that you need to order 5 plates because everything is small portions. So you go into a restaurant the first time and they're like, have you ever been here before? And you're like, no, right? All of these doctors, when we go in for labor, they know that this is our first labor and delivery because our chart will say if it is not, right? It'll say whether we have a baby at home or not, it's still going to say that we have done this part of the process before on labor and delivery.
Mm-hmm.
So they know that we don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that they would want to bring us along in the same way that that anesthesiologist for your second brought you along and explained the process to you, explained the options to you.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not share that knowledge and that passion for this career path that you all, have chosen?
Right.
Walk with us through this process instead of go, stay out of my way. I'm in charge here.
Here's what's going to happen. Okay. So the waiter will not say, or server, what are we saying today? Waiter, server? Anyway, whatever. They're not saying, here's how it works and this is what you're going to order.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying, these are the options. Some people do this. Some people do this. Is this the first full circle restaurant story moment?
Yes.
Yep.
And then you leave the restaurant going, you know what? I liked it there. I'm going to go again.
Or next time, I don't know if I do that, but maybe I'll try. Maybe there's something else on the menu. I think I might try that. This other thing wasn't really my cup of tea. Thought it might be. Turns out it's not.
Yeah.
Because you thought about not getting the epidural the second time, right? You were on the fence about it.
For a slight moment.
Oh, for a moment. Okay. But the anesthesiologist, though, really helped her feel confident.
Yes.
And I'll tell you why. My theory about the restaurant is that, those restaurants where like they can give you that, I think it's one in Philly, when you have that assemble line and the sushi comes in it and you just pick whatever sushi you want.
Oh, like a conveyor belt.
Yeah, like a conveyor belt. Exactly. And you like pick one this, and
I'll
you
have an epidural, but I'm waiting for the little one to come along, not the big one. I don't want I don't want like a spinal block situation, so I'm going to keep watching to see what comes along.
Let me choose those options. But also, what Emily said, I also, you said like, why every doctor cannot be like that? Well, because I think that we pregnant women are sitting on the conveyor belt. We are sitting and they're like, next.
Yes.
Like, we cannot stop you. Why are you talking so much? We have other women, in a line here. So please go.
Like, I've only got 4.5 minutes in this room. Then I need to go to...
They are overscheduled, right? So, like, some of it's their fault and some of it isn't, right? So, like, there are too many people and not enough doctors in a lot of places to provide the kind of care that they probably want to provide.
Yeah.
There are doctors who are too afraid of being sued.
Yes.
And so they want to stay in control, which means they don't give us the knowledge we need to make informed choices about our care.
I wonder if that's a similar thing in other countries outside the US. Like, are anesthesiologists, for example, as worried about being sued if something went wrong?
Americans are uniquely into suing people.
We're number one.
I really think so. And I think it's also mentality of people too, because like in my home country, Poland, like you don't sue doctors. Like they're just like the pedestal doctors. And even if they mess up, like rarely they're being sued. So it's a little bit of a difference, but not to mention epidural started being used not that long ago here either. Like women were like in a natural, environment. That's how you're supposed to do it. Like, the Polish mother myth.
Oh.
No, tell me.
Okay, wait. The Polish mother myth. Ooh.
Yes, that's a real thing. You're a tough cookie. You need to do it all. Don't be dramatic. Your mother and grandmother did it like by day, like whatever, a fence or something, so don't complain. Yeah, so that still exists. But you know what? But on one hand, yes, we get that. But on the other hand, we have so much support. That village that I told you about, but that's not unique to my family. That's actually very Polish family-oriented attitude. So when mother is struggling, her mother's going to come and be like, don't be dramatic. But then she's going to take that baby. She's going to say it, but then she'll clean your house, take your baby, tell you to take that nap, with this voice.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, mom.
But she's cooking. You got soup on the stove.
Don't get too whiny about it.
Yeah, don't get too whiny. Don't get whiny, just shush. You go to sleep, and I'll take care of everything.
Right.
Okay, so the Polish mother myth, I just want to make sure I'm getting this right. Is like, there's like strength and sort of like grittiness, right? Like just tough.
Yes, you need to be tough.
You can do it all.
Yes.
/ I'm going to help take care of you. So.
Right.
Always. And see, and that's that paradox, right? Like they say one thing as a family.
And then just close in and hold you, really.
Yes. As I said, we're very like sarcastic and very like harsh and all that stuff, but so kind and generous and all. Like in Poland, when you ask a mother, how are you? You're not going to hear, oh, I'm good. You're going to hear, oh my God, this is horrible. I've been not sleeping for 5 nights. So you get the raw, real truth.
Right.
There's no sugarcoating. And sometimes, like in America, when I'm like, how are you? Even to my clients, they're like, fine. And I'm like, okay, but how are you?
My favorite was my doctor would ask me that. And I'd go, fine, how are you?
Exactly.
It's like I blacked out at the appointments and was more like, concerned about looking like things were under control, I guess. I don't know. But you don't have to do that, everybody. Everybody listening, don't do that.
Yeah, no. Be raw, be real, be truthful. Like that's why we ask, how are you, right? We don't ask just to get, I'm good. What is good?
How are you feeling emotionally?
Exactly.
I have a resolution of birth trauma question. I want to go back in time again. So you've had your first baby. You have recovered physically. You are now able to like walk normally. Your sister is providing, let's call it like therapeutic peer support, right? Like your sister is like talking you through and like challenging your thinking.
Yes.
But not actually like billing therapy, right? Like she's just helping you.
We do pro bono for everyone. Listen, that's another Polish thing.
Oh.
Please come. Everything's free. Come.
Oh my God,
Yes,
I love
go
it.
ahead. I'm sorry.
So did you need other support or help in order to like feel like you were okay to get pregnant again? What else had to happen for you to go, I am willing to try this again?
You had a therapist.
No.
Oh.
I had a hard time. See, but here's the thing. No, because I wasn't, again, 10 years ago, almost 8 years ago, there was not really perinatal mental health therapist. So I went to a therapist and she was like, yeah, that sucks. So how are you feeling? I'm just telling you how I'm feeling. I didn't get what I needed. I didn't want just a venting session. I had those venting sessions on a regular basis at home. I wanted that perinatal approach to my life. I wanted that, holding type of therapy, someone that would actually feel it. Not to mention, like the therapists were like either, someone that had kids that were older, someone that didn't even know what PMADs were, and I had to explain about birth trauma, and someone that actually, would tell me like, you know what, birth trauma is real. You don't have to be diagnosed. If you're telling me you have birth trauma, I believe you. You have birth trauma because this is your experience.
If it felt traumatic.
Exactly.
That is my favorite thing about PSI is like, we're like, if you have a label and you know what it is, great. If you have labeled yourself, also great. If you are like, I don't know, I don't know. We're like, yeah, it's fine. Come on.
Both of us were undiagnosed first time around.
So yes, so I did. There was like 2 sessions, back then. Also, because I couldn't walk, it was telehealth, and everyone kind of was like, telehealth back then was again like, you're not gonna come to the office. And then my husband was working, and I had to go to work. Right, I was working community mental health, so it was also a bracket that I had to go to work. So what happened then, I realized, like, you know what, if I'm going to go and be frustrated, the 2 sessions were frustrating. I was like, I'm wasting my time. I want to be with the baby. I already cannot walk. I want to spend as much time as I want with him. And that bonding with him, my mother, the biggest support, ever. My husband, like walking and pacing. How can we help? Let's go and work out on this and all that stuff. My sister calling me every 5 minutes, not to mention friends and those doctors that were constantly checking on me. Like we had friends, doctors, those are not just colleagues of my mom's.
Calling long distance from Poland to talk to you. Yeah.
Okay.
That was something that I feel helped me with that anxiety that I did have, helped me tremendously because I would get stressed out. What if I never walk again? What if I'm not going to be able to hold the baby? What if I go for a walk and I drop the baby because the stroller is going to go? And I had those thoughts. Even later on, I'll tell you, within the first year, I had those thoughts. They were passing thoughts because I know I work in this. I knew that those are just thoughts and I let them pass. I put them on a cloud while I was walking. Go away, thoughts.
Ooh, little visualization.
That's good.
Ooh, that was skilled.
Yes. So
That's
I was
cool.
able to turn that anxiety into that motivation, to get better. And I really, really worked really hard mentally. I read all the books, mindfulness. That was my thing. My mom was helping me. So I knew I had that time. Mindfulness books, self-care books. Like that was the time when actually I embraced the most knowledge that I now share with my clients,
Oh,
yeah.
I feel I was so lucky. And that's why PMADs are so still unknown because you don't know what's causing it, right? It may be this, it may be that. But I'm an example of like, hormonal changes, support, not having milk supply, being, feeling like a failure. And then yet I was still able to be quite okay. That anxiety didn't take control over me. It was lingering. It was there, for a long time. As I said, like even a year after when my knee would not feel really good, when I still had my KT tapes, around my knee. Oh yeah, those thoughts would still come, but they wouldn't overpower me. They would linger, but not overpower. So yeah, mindfulness really helped.
Wow. That's so good. I think that we have this fear that like talking about a mental illness makes it contagious.
Yeah.
Sometimes. And I'm seeing a big shift in the last 3, 4, 5 years, maybe, in doctors and providers being willing to talk to patients about like, here are the risk factors, here are the things to look for after you've had a baby, while you're pregnant, et cetera, et cetera. But what you're describing is like you had the knowledge of what postpartum and perinatal mental health might look like.
Yeah.
And you were able to remain self-aware instead of go, oh, this is just who I am now. I'm the person who pictures horrible things in my head happening to my baby.
Yeah.
And not being able to like name it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that knowledge of the thing is the same as the ability to control those thoughts. But there is so much power in being able to label the thing for what it really is.
The whole name it to tame it kind of idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is helpful for some people to just be able to kind of like almost like step outside your body and kind of look at yourself and go, oh, this is not some sort of character flaw that you had. You had some things going on for you.
Or I am anxious right now, or I am triggered right now. Like being able to say or see,
Yes, and that's that third person perspective that I truly use myself, and I tell other people, my clients, about it. Like, take your emotions out of it. You're watching a movie about someone else's life. What are you seeing? Observe it, name it, and then put yourself in that position of a passive observer rather than active participant. And that makes a huge difference. And it really worked for me. And that knowledge I share with others. And it helps, you know. I am true believer in a third person perspective. When our emotional brain is turned off and the rational one is just kicking in, you know, you can see much more. And that actually, that did help me really. And labeling, you know, helps too. So I did a lot of work on myself. I think like the self-discovery and self-identity shift that I experienced back then, you know, with the bad and the good was tremendous. And I always encourage people to do that. You know, don't lose yourself in this trauma of yours or anxiety. You know, that doesn't define you. You are who you are. This is the extra that we need to work on. So, you know,
I've been thinking about, so when we interviewed Nikki Pensack, that was the first time we talked about matrescence, right? And as you're saying this, I'm like, you already had the knowledge before you had your first baby.
Yeah.
This is what perinatal mental health is. Yeah. These are some of the things. And then you experienced, at least in some ways, some of those parts of it. And you were interested in, I don't know, the self-reflection.
Self-discovery.
Like, how do I discover my new self?
Yes.
It's like you were poised for tremendous growth.
Neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
Very good. Yes. Neuroplasticity. Absolutely. Good one. Yes, absolutely. And it's also, you know, like, yes, our identity shifts when we have a baby, no matter if we have birth trauma or any sort of postpartum stuff, like it shifts. Even if you have everything the way it's supposed to be, you're not the same person at all. So you still have to go through like the rediscovering yourself. And when you have like some extras, you know, like the birth trauma, on the top of self-identity, you also have something else that you need to work on and make sense of, you know, and sometimes it takes 8 years, but you get where you want to be and when you're supposed to be, you know?
Yeah.
And that is a journey. That really is a journey. The journey that I love to share with other people because I'm not afraid, because I want to talk loudly, because I believe that everyone needs to find that voice that I didn't have, you know, and now I do.
High five.
Yeah.
High five.
Woo! Yay!
8 years was like the magic number. I think that's when I started therapy and finally started processing my postpartum things. You know, something about 8 years.
I know.
It's like, oh, it's okay. Okay for us to talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm proud of you. Very good.
Okay. I want to know how you got connected to PSI. Did you get connected to PSI in 2008 when you were like, you're hitting Google real hard and you're like, aha?
That's exactly what I did. You know, I Googled, I tried to find things, you know, and then that popped up. So I read everything and then I researched everything. And as I said at the beginning, you know, then when certification came into place, I went through this, you know, Mom 2020 program.
You were like, yes.
Yes. So I really love that. And then, you know, as I said a few months ago, I was like, let me apply to be a volunteer, you know, coordinator in Poland. Let me do more. And that's actually the highlight, you know, like I wanted to achieve something more than just a certification. I wanted to do more, again, in a country that still needs a lot of work. We need a lot of work, but I think Poland needs really lots of work. And I would love to do that work. So hopefully, you know, there's something brewing there, you know?
Oh, for sure.
That's really incredible. As a coordinator, do you get questions from folks? Like a help seeker reaches out to PSI and they say, I'm in Poland and...
Yes, but no.
Oh, okay. Yeah. How does it work?
Tell us more.
I'll tell you why. Because, nobody really knows about PSI in Poland. Like I'm hitting a lot of walls yet. That's my number one goal, to spread the awareness that there is something like that. I would love to create something. You know, we have Spanish, we have different languages, but there's no Polish, you know, like nobody thinks about Polish language that much. You know, we have Russian because it's, you know, the big country. We have English, French, but we also have Polish. So I would love to translate some of those things to Polish. And I think spreading that awareness would help us with PSI to get more people reaching out. There's no translation for the website. I mean, thankfully, Google can translate right now, but you have to know about something, you know. So when I get inquiries, I get it from my personal website. I did create a few months ago. That was also my biggest goal, to create Polish website with Polish content about all of the PMADs, and also where to find help. What are the resources? What are the podcasts you can listen to? You know, and English is our second language here. So who doesn't speak English? Really, rarely we don't. So people can read, listen, and stuff like that. So finally I did that. And that's actually when I started having people reaching out to me. And that was before I became coordinator.
Okay.
That's what prompted me.
Yeah. You were like, wow, there's a huge need here. So we will put a link to, can we put a link to your website in the show notes? Okay.
Yes.
So if anybody is Polish or has friends that are Polish or acquaintances and could use some resources.
I have a Polish neighbor who she goes back to Poland every year, although not this year because she's got a kid going to college this year. So they went somewhere else. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But like, I'm going to pass it along to her because if she's going back every year, she knows other Polish folks who might be having babies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, please. I mean, it's not a scary page. It's just a page with the raw information, something legit, something informational, you know?
Yeah.
And I think we really need that in Poland, you know, just something that is true.
And so when people reach out to you on your website, what's on there? Like, do you help people find therapists or in Poland and the US?
And the US, because we have a huge Polish population in US, and also sometimes with Great Britain, that's another hub, right, for Polish people.
Yeah.
So yes, they do reach out. Like I have a few of those, and you know, finding someone, it's the hardest. So I do tell them about PSI directory. You can pick the language and you can find through that. Or I manually try to do that. I'm creating actually the directory of therapists that I believe I would feel comfortable sending people to, but you know, I check their Instagrams or I check their website. Sometimes I'm like, okay, what training did you have actually? Yeah. So that's what's lacking in my home country, the legit trainings, you know, and I would hope that maybe PSI will expand to other countries to create something that would actually be legit.
We might have to go to Europe. I don't know.
Site visit.
Oh, no.
Please. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's gorgeous. I come from Krakow, one of the medieval towns with all the kings and all these universities in the world. Like,
I've never been to Poland.
Gorgeous.
Emily, we'll have like a personal tour guide.
I have family from Krakow and Ukraine, but it wasn't Ukraine then.
Nitty-gritty of Polish stuff. Oh, you would love it. Please go.
Okay, we'll call you later.
Yes, please.
Okay.
I heard we have a place to stay.
We can arrange that too. We got this.
Okay.
We got this. Yes.
We'll talk after the episode here. Okay, are we ready to jump into the lightning round?
My favorite part, yeah.
The most burning questions.
I've been waiting for it.
Okay, what is your second favorite podcast if you were to recommend a podcast, obviously, besides this one?
Yep. You know what? Yours is the best, right? We know.
Oh.
Number one. But we're talking about the second good one. So the second good one, my personal, booklet. I don't know if you've never, ever heard about a podcast called Nothing Much Happens.
No. First time recommendation here.
Whoa.
Yes, this is the podcast run by Catherine Nicolai.
Okay.
She also has a book about that and stuff. It's a guided imagery podcast. It's fantastic. You know, the way she tells the stories will really help you to transfer yourself in a different place, in a different world. Because you know what's funny? The funny thing is that she has real stuff, but she also has like a out of ordinary, observed, funny podcasts that are really helping you, especially people with like obsessive thoughts and rumination, you know. So there's this one podcast, I'll tell you, I was thinking which one to mention. So I have three like really good ones. So one is called like The Evening of 4th of July. So then she talks about like concerts on like grass, you know, and like, you know, picnics. So kind of normal, right? Regular. Then I have this one that it's called, I wrote it, The Cabin in the Summer. And this one is more about like, you know, sunny gardens and what's happening in a garden. But here is my favorite one. It's called The Cake Parade.
This is an episode on Nothing Much Happens. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. The cake parade.
The cake parade is actually a parade for a cake being held in a little small town when, everyone gathers for that cake parade. So they are like dressed up in their favorite pastries, and there's a marching band playing for the cake. And then there's this cake coming in, with the smell of vanilla and with the laughter of people. And it's a sunny, breezy day.
Is this podcast something that you would listen to when you just to kind of calm your mind and kind of bring yourself to center kind of and just think, okay, there's a lot going on up here. She gives so much description. So you can be
so you basically can pick for sleeping, for grounding yourself, for guided imagery if you're anxious. So you can pick even her website. If you go to Nothing Much Happens website,
okay,
the website is calming, and she gives you descriptions of each episode in such a way of few sentences that you already feel better. This is the podcast about sunny garden that you're walking through with your dog.
Yeah.
Is it in English, Polish?
No, it's an English podcast. Yes,
okay.
She's American.
Cool.
Yeah. And there's a book about that stuff too. I mean, I found it years ago. I don't even know if that wasn't that 10 years ago when I actually needed to ground myself, because I don't even know when was the beginning of this. But this is my to-go-to when I'm okay, I need a moment. And they are short. And sometimes I turn the podcast of making a salad. Today is a podcast about episode about making a salad. And you go to the kitchen and you open the fridge. Simplicity of it.
I'm going to check that out.
Yes.
You definitely have to. Refreshing. Very refreshing.
That sounds good.
Do you think that this is a good podcast for a teenager that needs help going to sleep? Or is this more of an adult kind of a thing?
Oh, no. Even my kid. I turned the cake parade for my 10-year-old and he's like, this is weird, mommy. But I was like, but did you hear it? And he's like, well, yeah, I imagine everything.
Sometimes I'm like, why is there a murder podcast on in her bedroom? Yeah, this is not a bedtime thing. Stop.
Click.
I'll put this on my list of things to suggest to my teenager that has a hard time falling asleep. That's up there with, whatever. This isn't my episode. We're talking about you. Okay. I have to be a guest if I want to give suggestions. Okay.
But I'm so happy nobody ever mentioned that. I'm happy to bring something refreshing here.
Yeah, this is great. Never heard it. First time.
Okay. Next question. Are you binge watching or listening to or reading anything really, really good? What do we need to add to our queue?
You know what? I was thinking watching. What is watching?
Oh, on TV, watching.
What TV? Hold on. What TV?
So the TV is a thing in your living room that emits blue light and makes it hard for you to sleep. Yeah.
So we supposed to know where that is, right? You hear the sarcasm? Yeah, no. I don't even know when was last time I turned the TV on. I have everything in my list, a binge list, and the list is growing. And I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get to it, but one day. But I can tell you books. Yes, I read a lot of books. I start them, and I have a lot of books everywhere.
This is a throwback question.
Yeah.
Do you prefer to listen to a book? You like a book in your ear or a book in your hand?
I love to hold the book. I love the smell of the book.
Oh, yeah.
Remember I'm geriatric, so I'm old school, right?
Yeah. Relatable.
Right.
I love reading books. So I really do. And, I'm one of these people that love to see the end. They read the whole book, but I'm always going to the end. How is it?
You're a skipper.
Love it. No. And the same with movies. My husband is like, do you want to know how it ends? And I'm like, yep. Tell me. I may never watch it all, but tell me how it ends.
So you like to skip to the end in books and on TV. And you're like, I don't need the,
Yeah, the inside.
Yeah, I don't need to know how the characters evolve, whatever.
But, funny thing is that I still read it, but I love the ending.
You like to know what to expect.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I'm like, you don't want to be surprised.
I don't think my wife surprised.
That's okay.
And you know what? It's funny. I've been married for so long, and my husband is like, I know you want to get your gift, for your birthday 2 days early, and I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to know what you get for Christmas? And I'm like, okay,
sure. That is very interesting.
Very interesting. We all, in this world, there's a lot of different people. So I'm like,
it's okay. You know what you like.
Blame it on cultural difference. I love that one. So anyways, but I'll tell you. So 2 books that I'm doing. One is a short one. One is my favorite perinatal book. So one is I actually was in Denmark and I picked up that book, Hygge.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes. It's small and it's a light color, but pretty, red and blue.
Yes. So this is the book about happiness, right? Danish people are considered the happiest in the world. And I've been starting to read that, and I'm not fully done yet, but the beginning about the lighting, about the candles, about rain and simplicity and coziness. So good.
It's really kind of like also about being in the moment.
Absolutely. So that's the one I'm on. But I'll tell you, recently I was reorganizing my bookshelf, and I picked up the book that I truly love. This is like the third time I'm reading it. I love it. It's called Bringing Up Bebe. Have you ever heard about that? Bringing Up Bebe by Pamela Druckerman.
Oh.
Really good book. I'll tell you what. So this is the book about American lady that moves to France.
Oh.
And she's starting raising her baby and has a cultural shock. And it's like, wait, what? It's a book about normalizing motherhood, about there's nothing right or wrong. There is, book that is embracing boundaries, but also not losing yourself in the whole motherhood, mom and dad roles. That book just talks about balance, that you can have balance, that you don't have to know it all, that there is no right way of raising your children, that you don't have to put that pressure on yourself, that you basically got this. So it's really, really laid back book and funny. She's funny.
In a day and age where there are so many opinions and self-help books about just you should do this, you should parent this way, you should buy this product. It is very important to hear the message that there isn't one right way to do it.
Nope.
Like to do anything.
Yes.
Well, I mean, if you're baking something, it's kind of science. So you need to have the right amounts of things, but
yes, you're absolutely right. There is no right or wrong way. There is we're learning. We don't have to know it all. So she talks in that book about that. And I'll tell you the best part in the book. You flip the book. I like the ending, right? So you flip the book, and at the end, there's a manual for dads. Oh. And that manual for dads is what makes this book so unique. It's short, it's simple, it's funny, and it's actually something that even my husband read.
Even your husband read it.
Even my husband read it 10 years
Sick
ago.
burn.
Yes. And we had a laughing session because it's really cute. It's really short, and simple. Like it's supposed to be, right? Simple, short and simple.
I need short and simple. I can't handle long chapters. Give me some short chapters with a heading so I know what to expect and I can stop when a kid comes in and, I need to put the book. Anyway.
That's that. So if you never read that one, and it's not just for expecting parents or something. I recommend that book to my mothers, that are having kids and preteens. It's really good to just get distance to that whole motherhood perspective, So really, really great book, Bringing Up Bebe.
Okay, awesome.
That sounds good.
Do you have a great parenting hack that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, what I've learned through being a mom is that you have to learn how to regulate your own nervous system and your own emotions and things. So this is the hard one. I'm still learning how to do that, But what I've learned, and I always tell people, you have to start naming your emotions. So my kid would come to me and say, Mom, I am really frustrated with you right now. And you know what I say? Victory, honey, I'm so proud of you. And he's like, Mom, I just told you I'm frustrated with you. And I said, and I'm hearing your emotions and I'm very proud of you because I've been doing this even when he was little, my 10-year-old, I've been saying, Mommy needs a break. Mommy needs 5 minutes because Mommy is really getting frustrated. Or when we cry, how moms are like, Mommy's not crying. Mommy's okay. No. I've been saying Mommy's crying. Mommy needs a moment. I'm sad. This is how I'm feeling and I'm letting you know. And I'm not hiding it. I'm not going to portray that everything is great. No, it's okay. I can have those feelings. So, regulating the nervous system, regulating your emotions, naming your emotions, help that kid to also start regulating their own,
Not only does that help the kid, I know personally that helped me, has helped, is still helping, will always continue to help me grow and honor myself by saying out loud, I'm feeling really overwhelmed right now.
Yep.
I'm just going to go outside for 2 minutes and then I'll be right back. But it helps give myself permission to not feel like I need to stay in this highly stressful situation.
Yep.
I'm getting way overstimulated. No chance of coming down from whatever is stressing me out, whatever. Yes, naming your emotions. Good for the kids, good for the adults. Excellent suggestion. I like it.
Good. I'm happy that you like it.
Thanks. Emily, what's the next question? This is so lightning-y. This is the fastest round ever.
What is one way that you are going to show yourself some radical love today?
And I was thinking about it actually today, and I've changed it a few times, right? What am I going to do, right? But I'll tell you. So I am going to give myself permission to rest without guilt.
Oh, yeah.
That's my big one. That's everyone's big one, right? Guilt, rest. Like, I shouldn't be resting. I should be more productive.
We live in a fast-paced world, It's okay to slow down.
Absolutely. And, as therapists, we always hold space for everyone, but we sometimes don't hold space for ourselves, right?
Yes.
I am guilty of saying, I can squeeze one more session. I am guilty also for saying, I was supposed to have a day off, but if I have one session at 7 p.m., my kid can wait. We can watch that movie later. And then you look at that kid of yours and you're like, what? But we were supposed to. And then you're like, oh. So you feel guilty for your client that wanted to see you. Feel guilty for your kid that is waiting to watch a movie. So you are like, I cannot win, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in those moments, you have to remind yourself it's okay to say no. Set the boundaries that you're teaching your clients to set. Just tell yourself it's okay. You need to rest. And I have this favorite quote of mine. Give the world what's best of you, and that's what's left of you.
Oh, hang on. Excuse me while I write this down, taking notes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that a good one?
Give the world what's best of you, not what's left of you.
Yeah.
Coming to the internet soon. That's a great quote.
Right, but isn't that so raw and honest? Because that's the truth, Sometimes, I feel like as therapists, we look at our worth, self-worth, that it's basically tied to our productivity. If I'm not productive, means I had a wasted day or something, work-wise, client-wise. And you know what? No, I'm going to choose rest.
Yeah.
I'm going to choose self-care because that's my also self-respect, right? Rest is the fact that I'm respecting myself. So that's my little thing, I was thinking about it today, and that's what I'm going to do, no sessions after nothing,
Yeah.
Something with my kiddo.
Do we need to credit anybody? Is this an original?
It is a quote that someone, yes, it is an original quote. We need to just Google.
From somebody. Thank you, whoever
came up with this.
It's great.
It's free, and I'm just saying that's why it's not mine. It's a quote unquote, but I love it. Whoever came up with that was brilliant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. So that's my little radical law.
Okay. I think it's time for us to hop into a time machine and to go all the way back 10 years ago, before baby number 1 was born, or maybe after. It could be after, postpartum, right? What is one thing that today 2025 Karolina, would say to pre-recovery you?
Yeah. I also would like to, make it short, sweet, and to the point. So
okay.
Here it is. So, I would tell her that she is not broken. What she's feeling is real, and she doesn't have to justify her pain or her anger, no justifications at all. That she's allowed to grieve the experience she went through, even if others try to minimize it or pretend that it wasn't that bad, or she was dramatic, or maybe it's not what she thinks it was, and all of that, I would tell her that healing isn't linear, that it doesn't have to be pretty, clean, polished,
Yeah.
I would remind her that her gaslighting and the dismissal she experienced weren't her fault, and that feeling invisible doesn't mean that she's actually invisible. That's how I felt many, many times. So no, she wasn't invisible. She only felt that way, And her voice matters, and her experience matters. And most importantly, she's not alone. She has a huge support, huge village that she's always going to be grateful for. And, I would also tell her that this story doesn't end in fear, that it grows into something very, very powerful. And that one day she will have another baby, and that this experience will be so different and so much better. And that her fear was valid, but will also change into love and happiness, because the past doesn't define her future. And this time she will be heard, prepared, and supported in the ways that she wasn't before. And, I would also tell her that she will run super fast, even though she's not a runner, but she will dance that salsa with her husband whenever she has a chance. And then she will jump and jump and jump with her kids on that trampoline, something that she thought she would never be able to do.
Oh.
And perhaps the most importantly, I would tell her that her story will matter, and not just to her, but to other women. That she will share it openly, bravely with those who feel silenced and dismissed, so they know that they are not alone either. So she will become a voice for those who need to feel understood when no one else seems to believe them. I would tell her that she will simply rock. That is the scream of my baby.
Oh,
that was perfect.
We are leaving that in.
Yes.
Boom.
She will rock. That's what I would tell her, that, she will always remember. And that's how I feel today. And that's the message.
Yes.
We can hear it. It's all good. It's totally okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay. How do you take your water?
Oh, that's the good one, So I'll tell you. Mm-hmm. The water needs to be bubbly.
Oh.
Super bubbly.
Strong opinions about that.
In Poland, we have that one company that says super bubbly water. And it's so bubbly that it gets into your nose, and I love the bubble.
And it like burns a little bit?
It makes your eyes water.
And it needs to be chilled, but not too cold. I always tell, like, when someone like asks me how you like your water, I said chilled but not cold. I don't want like a nervous system shock.
Like, don't put ice in there. Settle down.
No ice, no flavors, no extra, no drama, no sweetness. It's not a fruit salad, We just want
not a fruit salad.
No. When I see all this food, I'm like, no, I want a salad on the side. This is just my water. Pure, clean perfection,
You're like, I want this water to burn my nose, and I want the salad over here in a bowl.
And no straw.
Keep that fruit out of my cup.
That's what I meant, or whatever you put in it. No herbs. Pure and clean. And you know what? The last thing, it needs to be in a glass, tall, fancy glass, It's self-care. Drinking that bubbly water is like this, extra pleasurable self-care activity. So it's got to be fancy. It's to be fancy, Like I like to feel
fancy schmancy.
Fancy glass of super bubbly, watery ice, glass of water. Yes. So that's my water, No drama water. I call it a no drama water.
Okay.
That's cool.
Well, with that, I would just like to ask if anything has resonated, with listeners, which, I mean, there's a lot that probably has resonated with folks.
Yes.
If they'd like to get in touch with you, what's the best way? Like reaching out? We've put your website in the show notes. Are you on social media? Is that another great way? Tell us. How can people get a hold of you?
My website's the best one, right? mainlineprocounseling.com. That's the name of my practice. There's my phone number, my email. Folks can easily reach me via that. But I'm also on Instagram. You can find me at Women Wellness Therapy. That's my Instagram name. My Polish Instagram also exists when I try to translate everything into Polish, but I'm not really attempting to even tell you how it's pronounced. But when folks, foreigners, Polish speaking wants to find it, I did put that in my Women Wellness Therapy website. Instagram, the name. So yes, please go there. I'm also on PSI directory, so people can always reach me through that. And yeah, don't be strangers. I'm always happy to, share my knowledge, experience, referrals, resources, whatever that is. So yeah.
Yes.
You're all over the place. You're worldwide.
Yes, please get in touch whenever.
Great. Well, Emily, would you like to take us out?
I would love to. Karolina, this has been a pleasure. As a fellow birth trauma survivor, it is so good to hear when stories can come full circle. And your story came full circle in like all the ways that it needed to. As a fellow Pole,
a couple generations removed.
Pretty removed, but it is an important part of my identity. Yes. It was just so lovely to talk to you about culture and trauma and even to talk about the terrible medical gaslighting and how you're helping people push back, find their voice and say, no thanks, not today. Thank you so much.
Yes, I really appreciate it. And thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for tuning in to the I Am One podcast. Check out today's show notes where we'll drop links to all the important things that we mentioned in this episode. Please consider sharing about I Am One on social media and following and rating our show wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. It only takes a minute of your time and, well, that'll help our collective mission of bringing resources and local support to folks worldwide. From everyone here at PSI, thanks again for listening.